All right. Good evening, everyone. Nice to see you. What is it, our third meeting of the year, yeah? I think. I missed the first one, right? But I guarantee you it had something to do with new beginnings, starting fresh. Am I close? I think you were speaking that week. Was that right? Was it something about new beginnings and starting over? He did the new beginning. What did you do?
I did ups and downs.
Ups and downs. Okay. So I was off. All right. So much for me knowing what I'm talking about. Huh? You could have just played along, you know. That wouldn't be right. No. Well, what I was leading into is new beginnings, and then you started last week with not Happy New Year, but Happy All Year. And that got me to thinking about Happy All Life, right? Applying what you taught us last week, or shared with us last week, not just to the year, but to every day, forever, right? And that led into my topic, right? Choices and destiny, about what puts us where we are today, how we wound up here, where we're going to be tomorrow, where we started, and we're going to jump into that. As usual, I like to say that I can't take credit for any of this stuff. I was just lucky enough or fortunate enough to be given the topic. The sources here are the Gospel, according to Spiritism, the Spirit's book, and a little book called Pills of Trust, which we may have here in the library. I'm not sure. But these are the sources. Something I started doing this year, which I can't take credit for this either. She's 14 now, Cecilia, my youngest daughter, for my Christmas present this year. And it came late. It came after January 1st. She was very upset, right? Because the Amazon, whatever happened, right? Amazon couldn't deliver. But it shows up and she says, "Daddy, here it is." Right? What do you think she gave me? They're a 14-year-old. This kid's amazing. She gave me a daily affirmation planner, right? Amazing. A journal, right? A 5-minute journal, not even anything elaborate. She says, because she knows I have ADD, right? I've got a short attention span. So it's a 5-minute journal, this thing is called. And in less than 5 minutes, literally, right? You plan your day. And one of the questions, the second question in this thing every morning, it says, list 3 things that would make today great, right? Right? And remember, I don't know, is it Babe Ruth or Mickey Mantle? Who's a baseball fan here? Who called his shot? Was it Babe Ruth, right? In a game, right? He calls it, I'm gonna hit it there. And sure enough, he hits it. Was it a home run or a grand slam? And they win, right? Well, that's what I do every morning. I call my shot, right? What's gonna make today great, right? And sure enough, planning, choosing what my day is going to be like. Now listen, it's only what? Is it the 19th of January, right? I turned off my phone. Is that the day? So far, I'm having a great year, right? Wow. And I hope to continue this habit, right? And I share that with you simply because what we're going to talk about today, from the Gospel, from these different sources, is choosing our destiny, right? Choosing how much suffering we might experience or how little we might be able to minimize it or maximize it, right? Not following Al Turri's advice, but simply following great advice and direction from these great resources. Make sense? So let's start tonight, and I don't need you to answer out loud. Feel free if you want to, but I want you to take a moment and ponder what would make tonight great. Why are you here tonight? What made you not watch a football game or not go to the restaurant or not go to the band or a movie? Why are you here on a Thursday night listening to a gringo like me? Right? Why? And what do you hope to get out tonight?
I want to be better than I came in.
Okay. I'll do my best to help.
I know.
All right.
I always be better when you speak.
Okay, good. I'm so glad. But just ponder that, right? You're here, which is awesome, right? It means you want to gain something. Ponder that, and I hope that it comes true for you. I hope we make it happen tonight. All right, let's jump in. Because I only have, 2 hours, yeah? That's it? 3 hours, 3 hours tonight? Good. All right, so what we're going to talk about tonight, a lot of it comes from the Spirit's book and the Gospel according to Spiritism. A lot of the themes that are in this and the Pills of Trust come from these books as well. Remember, a lot of this information wasn't invented or created by anybody, right? Spiritism didn't invent things, but it codified and solidified some universal laws, right? So the goal tonight is not to preach, all right, but to share, all right? It's not trying to convert anyone to a new way of thinking. It's simply come as you are, right? Let us share some of these truths with you and apply it to your daily life. And the premise of all of this, the foundation, I should say, one of the pillars of Spiritism and what we talk about tonight especially, right, with choice and destiny, is we have a destiny, right? There is destiny for each one of us. And it's the same, right? It's to become evolved, right? A pure spirit. We all start here at the bottom left, right? Simple and lacking knowledge, right? Ignorant, if you will, right? And with subsequent lifetime after lifetime after lifetime, we evolve to become Christ-like pure spirit. Where did you get this slide from? Do you remember? I borrowed it from you.
Yeah.
Did you make this or?
Yeah.
You did. It's wonderful. I love this. One of my favorite slides.
Yeah, but I need to change the bond.
Per K.
Forget, I'll talk to you later.
Okay, you tell me later. All right.
It is dark.
It is dark. Fair enough. But this is for all of us, right? We all started in the same place. We're all headed in the same direction. The stuff in between is dependent on us, right? And I think the next slide will talk to us how we do that, right? We all have free will. By the grace of God, we are created lacking knowledge. Each lifetime we come back, we have a plan, we have things to work on, with no memory of our wrongs from the past, with the ability to choose, right? We can choose. You know, I like to equate this to driving, right? You can make a left or a right, and if you make the wrong turn, you're lost, or you're delayed because you hit traffic or an obstacle. Same thing in life, right? With our moral choices. Choose wisely, we lessen our pain or suffering in a lot of cases. We hasten or speed up our progress. If we choose poorly, we may endure longer suffering or more severe suffering. And it truly is moment to moment. Every precious present, I love that, right? The precious present is right now. That's the only thing I can control. I can't change the past. I shouldn't worry about the future, right? That just creates anxiety and angst, right? But right now, today, this moment, I can control. And that leads me to the next moment. Make sense so far? Sounds easy, right? Yeah, I wish, right? But day to day, and these choices that we make, they all lead to consequences. And you're living the consequences of yesterday. And yesterday's from lifetimes ago. And this is my second favorite slide, right? Cause and effect, right? How many of you know somebody that seems like if bad luck, if bad luck was a picture in a dictionary, it would be their face? Anybody know somebody like that? I have a brother like that. I love the guy, but if it can go wrong, it happens to my brother. Now, we can call that bad luck. We can call that unfair, or we can equate it to this, right? Cause and effect, right? We all make choices, and it all leads to consequences. And this really sums up where we are today and where we're going to go tomorrow. And how can we embrace this, right? It sounds crazy to talk about affliction or problems or bad luck or sorrow, but yet, how can we make the most of it? How can we embrace it? Seems crazy, right? My wife has cancer in one of her eyes. We got good news yesterday for those of you that like to know. One eye is cancer-free, and the other one has very little now. So we're going to do more chemo in the eye, and the prognosis is very good. But the reason I share that with you, and other than to let you know she's okay, because I know some of you have asked, is to tell you, I don't know if I could do this, but my wife is not excited. That's the wrong word. She's embracing her disease, right? She's asking herself, what's the big picture? Why do I have this today? What am I supposed to learn? And what can I do to learn and grow out of this? I don't know about you guys, but I'd be pissed and mad, and I'd be blaming somebody probably. But she's not. What's that?
Scared.
She's definitely scared. I'm not trying to...
I mean, I would.
And she's scared for sure. But at the end of the day, she's asking herself, what am I supposed to learn? Not poor me, not why me, what did I do to deserve this? But accepting the affliction, right? And realizing that it's a consequence of something, and she has something to learn. And that's what I took away from the Spirit's book in this section, right? It tells us we all have affliction, right? We all have behaviors that we don't like. Some of us have more extreme behaviors than others. Some of us haven't been afflicted by worst case scenarios, but we all have some behavior, some affliction that's probably not as moral as you should be, or as we would like, right? But we have the ability to embrace that, learn from it, and try not to repeat those things tomorrow if we did them today. Making sense so far? How many of you embrace your affliction? You do? Yeah?
I have sometimes.
Yeah, awesome. I'm still trying to do that. I'm very happy for you guys.
I have not been successful all the time, but sometimes
Right?
I have been.
Good.
I'm the only one who answers questions. What do you think? Is there something wrong with me? Good.
This is a trap. I'm not gonna answer.
You can't win.
I learned a long time
It's like, do these pants make
Trying to
make
be
this look big? You can't answer that. All right.
I'm
So,
not answering any other questions.
so going back to the cause and effect slide, we know that affliction exists, right, due to choices we've made in the past. They also provide the opportunity for growth. So, the downside or the upside, depending on how you look at this, the more we come to these types of meetings, the more we study. How many of you make mistakes now or make choices and you know when you're doing it, man, I shouldn't be doing this. It's not the right? Right. That's the downside of educating yourself or growing, right? Because now when I mess up, when you mess up, now you know, right? You can't claim ignorance as an excuse, right? So if we make choices wisely, guess what? We don't have that guilt. We don't have that sorrow at the moment. And we don't have the suffering associated necessarily with that bad choice because we made a better choice. But when we do make that bad choice or that poor choice, that affliction can persist. The suffering can be more intense or longer. So the goal, obviously, is to choose wisely more than not, and each day improve so that the affliction lessens. All right. And that takes us back to this slide. Just to reiterate, right, that wherever we are from life to life, the goal here, the destiny, is to evolve. But what happens tomorrow and in between the beginning and the end is up to who? Up to you. Exactly, right? Free will. You have the choice. And what are you going to choose? Right? And you choose that moment to moment. Now, it doesn't happen quickly, right? If we're here on Earth, where are we on this graph typically? Bottom third, right? Bottom third, imperfect, right? Why? Because we're terrible? No, because we're in progress. We're growing. But we're more tied to matter. We're more tied to ego and pride and physical needs, if you will, than love and charity. When our every thought and action stems from love, right? We're going to evolve more and more, right? But right now, we're very tied to matter. And that's not good or bad necessarily. That just is, right? And that's where we are today. The Doctrine of Reincarnation tells us, again, where we came from. If you look at your life today, do you think you have a good idea of mistakes you've made in the past? Do you have a good idea of, even though we're not born with memories of our mistakes, do you feel like if you take a good look at how you're living your life today, can you have some idea of maybe where you were in the past? Right? The past can predict the future in some ways, right? But we know for sure, because of reincarnation, in our previous life, we weren't as evolved as we are in this life, right? Because we evolve slowly over time, each life progressing little by little. We definitely know where we're going, right? We know we're going to evolve little by little. We know we're destined to be a pure spirit. Do we know why we're on earth when we look at the Doctrine of Reincarnation? Absolutely. Why are we on earth? To evolve, to grow, to atone, right? To free ourselves, if you will, from the ties of matter, right? To try to become less and less tied to matter. Essentially, what this doctrine teaches, what it tells us, right, is that the Doctrine of Reincarnation helps us justify all the anomalies and all of the apparent injustices that life presents. Right? That black cloud that follows my brother, right? It's not bad luck. It's him going through life and experiencing the things that he's created. Just like my wife embraces her issue, right? Not blaming. She knows that this is something that she's supposed to go through, right? Just like each of us, right? Life is extremely fair, right? If it wasn't for reincarnation, I think I would have a hard time understanding why children die, right? At 2 weeks old, why parents lose children, why fathers perish in their 40s and leave families, why some people are broke and some people are rich, why some people have all the food and resources in the world and others have nothing. Right? If it wasn't for the law or the doctrine of reincarnation, if it wasn't for cause and effect, if it wasn't for the promise of the destiny of evolution, of evolving morally, how could we explain these differences in one lifetime? Doesn't make sense, right? I don't think the God I was indoctrinated with as a child, right, that didn't seem to have reason or logic or fairness. To me, it defied logic. Why would God create these differences or these huge ranges of haves and have-nots, right? But with the doctrine of reincarnation, with cause and effect, it just makes sense to me now. And life doesn't seem unfair. It seems very fair. You are, right? We're exactly where we've placed ourselves, right? And I think that sounds. I think that's hard to grasp at times, but it really does make life seem much more fair. It just makes sense to me. So in the gospel, as we're talking about this principle or this doctrine, it clearly says what I've just talked about. This slide summarizes what I've been talking about for 30 or 40 seconds, right? Without the preexistence of the soul, without plurality of existence, most of the maxims in the gospel are unintelligible. What comes to mind all the time when I think of the gospel, when I think of Christ, when I think of Christianity, is the term born again, right? To share a little bit of my history, right? If you name the religion, right, I tried it. Right? I was on a search, right, a mission, trying to find something that made sense to me, right? I'd never heard of Spiritism, but along my travels in my 20s and early 30s, somehow I had all the beliefs of Spiritism, and my wife today handed me a spirits book, and Nasolar, the book Nasolar. And all of a sudden it crystallized. Oh my goodness, I'm a spiritist, right? Because it all made sense. It was all this stuff I believed. And the reason I share this with you is prior to that, I had tried different sects or different disciplines, or what's the word? Different forms of Christianity, Catholicism, Lutheran, you name it. Evangelical Christian, right? I was full body immersion. I got baptized, right? And I was born again, right? And in the moment, I guess it was cool, but I could never understand how all I had to do was dip my head in the water and accept Christ as my Lord and Savior, and voila, I'm going to heaven, and any bad I've ever done doesn't matter. Didn't make sense to me, right? That's just one example. And what this slide summarizes is without this doctrine of reincarnation, or this belief or this understanding that we improve and evolve morally with each subsequent life, it doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. It's not logical, right? It doesn't seem like it would make any sense. So the plurality of existences, right, and the multiple lives, and the promise of evolving to becoming a pure spirit truly explains life, and why there's so many contradictory interpretations within that one book, the most read book in the world. Make sense? Yeah. I'm convinced, and this is my opinion. I don't know if this is cited anywhere, but I really believe there's one truth. And don't get mad at me, but I think we're all wrong to a certain degree, right? I think we are at the level of what we can understand today as a human, and more will be revealed to us as we evolve, right? But this one truth has so many different interpretations. People kill for it. They go to war for it, right? They fight for it, and for their version of the truth, when there really is only one, right? And we're all on the same path. All right. So, what's the purpose of each incarnation, right? Well, this comes to us from Spiritism, right? Is God imposes incarnation for the purpose of leading spirits to perfection, right? For some, it's an expiation. What does that mean? Expiation. It means I messed up and I gotta release it. I gotta correct it. I gotta atone for it. Right? We've all made mistakes. We all expiate. That's one reason, right? For being in this life, right? What's the other? A mission, right? Some spirits incarnate on a mission. They're here to make big change in the world. They're here to to lead others. They're here to solve a problem that hasn't been fixed, right? So our existence can be a combination of both of these, or one more than the other. I don't know how to determine which one it is. I don't know, but we live these lives for one of these or a combination of both. And essentially, when we're expiating for sure, we have to undergo every vicissitude, every scenario over time, in order to, one, be tempted, right? To be tested, to make choices wisely, or to atone for those previous mistakes. Make sense? All right. All right. Incarnation also, right, places us in situations where we can do our share of the work. And by that, yes, we're here on our personal mission, right, to evolve morally, to advance and evolve morally. But we're also here to assist the general progress of the world we're in. Remember, at some point we won't come back to Earth anymore. We'll be on other planets or other realms, I guess. But the mission is the same. Every time we evolve, it's one, to continue evolving ourselves, and two, to assist the community that we're in, the family circle that we're in, to evolve as well. Because everything's connected. There is no isolation. I can't go live on an island or under a bridge and not face temptation and expect to grow. The only way to grow is by helping others and being part of something bigger than me. All right. So here's the big question, right? Do we choose the situations that we're in? If there is a destiny, right? If we know that, yes, we're going to evolve and become pure spirits, does that mean that everything in between just happens for us, that we don't plan it, we don't have a say in it? Well, what we know is we definitely participate, right? Think of our physical life, right? This life, this 70, 80, 90 years, 30 years, whatever we have, right? Think of it as your spirit imprisoned, right? It's tied to this body. Your actions here imprint on that perispirit, on that spirit. It's tied, right? When we die, right? When we're not tied to a body, our spirit is free, right? To come and go, what have you. There's no tie to a physical realm. So that prison, if you will, that physical existence, think of it as your sentence, right? You come to earth, right? Or you are reborn, right? In whatever life you're going to live with a plan, right? You either have a mission or you have to expiate for wrongs in the past, or a combination of both. We, right, you and me, our spirit, right, when we're in that errant state, when we're in that discarnated state, right, we die, we heal, we learn, we study, we grow, and then we are destined to return to another life. We have a plan, okay? Us individually, along with our mentors, right? We create. Hold on a second. I'm getting a message. It asks me if I want to allow this thing. I don't want to, right? Oh no. Why would I get that? All right. Sorry, guys. It gave me this error message. But we get to pick some big things in our life, right? Geographical relation. And I'm convinced I was born in the wrong country. For anybody that knows me, I'm convinced I should have been born in Brazil, right? Most of my friends are Brazilian, and I love Brazilian food. But for whatever reason, I chose to be born in the United States in this lifetime. All right? Socioeconomic status, right? Rich, poor, somewhere in between, right? We kind of not manipulate that, but we plan that. Physical challenges, right? Are our hands going to work? Are we going to have a lame leg? Are we going to have kidney problems? Are we going to have vision problems, right? Some of those things are determined. There's a great story, and I can't even quote the source at this point, but it's about a spirit that evolves, and he's telling us, I think it's from Heaven and Hell, but I could be wrong. But he talks about in one life, right, he was like a thief. He killed people with a knife, right? That's what he did with his hands. Another life, he was a soldier and he killed people with a sword. And in one of his lives, he was a surgeon, right? So he progressed, he evolved, right? His hands went from hurting to defending to healing, right? That progression. So those situations are decided upon. What do you need to expiate? What do you need to improve, right? And you're giving those challenges. Health conditions, and then family circle. How many of you have somebody in your family and you just say to yourself, oh my God, how could we possibly be from the same gene pool, right? How could we possibly be together, right? Nobody, it's not just me then? Good. Whew. Because I couldn't figure it out until I studied, right? And I understand now that people in my life today are here for a purpose, right? Some of them I've hurt, killed, destroyed, cheated on, hurt, right? Some of them have done those things to me. And some of them I'm still butting heads, right? I got a sister, I love her, but man, I don't like her. All right? All right? It's true, but I'm trying. And I used to avoid her because why deal with it? And now I'll do anything to try. I want to fix it in this life. I don't want to wait till the next. She's a little bit slower, but we're going to get there. The point is, we pick this circle, right? And then I have people here in the center or out in my life, outside of my physical family, my bloodline, right? That they're like brothers or sisters. Like I've known them forever, right? But we're not from the same family, but we find each other. So the whole idea is to understand we create these scenarios. Why? Well, one, we got to fix some things. Two, we have to challenge ourselves and overcome obstacles that we didn't overcome before. And all of these situations allow us to do that. And then once we determine those things, right, the spirit submits to yet another existence, right? On earth, in this case for us, and with each evolution, there'll be other planets, there'll be other worlds, but with each incarnation, it's an existence to purify ourselves, right? It undergoes a transformation that requires work. We have to work. And that work happens during this lifetime, especially. And there's no escaping this, right? We all live many lives. And it's not just by chance. It's by design, and it's part of the plan. We have to live multiple lives to overcome, to grow, to evolve. So, how many of you make sense, right? This one, right? You used to think you die, you go to heaven and the pearly gates and everything's great. Well, we know that that's just not the case, right? The spirit upon death does not suddenly transform and become perfect or go to heaven, this beautiful place necessarily, right? If we lived a reprehensible life, it's because we were imperfect, and death does not change that. I die, I'm essentially the same as when I passed. When I'm reincarnated, fortunately, there's been some rehabilitation, some education, some improvements in my strength. I'm given a new plan and trusted with that plan to come back and improve. But when I come back, I'm still the same character. I'm still the same at the same place. It's up to me to work and grow. And that's what it says here in the last sentence, right? It's only through study, reflection, and suffering that we become enlightened. Easy enough, right? All right, we can all go home now. We got this, right? So how do we expiate our wrongs, right? And it's simple, right? By making reparations for the bad choices can only be redeemed via good actions. And what are good actions? Does it have to be huge? Do you have to invent a cure for cancer? Do you have to donate millions of dollars to charity? Absolutely not. Where does it start? Thoughts. Good thoughts. What happens when you have good thoughts? You usually say good words, right? And when you say good words, what usually happens? It's followed by good actions, right? That could very simply be opening the door, right, for a little old lady. That could be letting that guy that cut me off on the turnpike this morning, just slowing down a little bit and just let him go. Don't tell him he's number one, right? Don't blow the horn. It could be smiling at that person that just looks grumpy and cranky, right? It doesn't have to be extreme. It's simply good actions. Having good thoughts and love towards your fellow man, towards yourself. Saying positive things. Don't be a complainer. Don't gossip. Don't get caught up in all the negativity. It's so easy to jump on that bandwagon, right? It's a lot harder to change that conversation in the office from what's bad to what's good, right? But just being a force of good in that sense. You don't have to save the world. You just have to try to do your best and be positive and do as much good as you're capable of doing. And then understanding the doctrine of relative punishment comes along with this whole choice and destiny, right? The beauty of this is it, remember we talked about fairness, right? How is the world fair or not fair? And that reincarnation really, to me, helps us understand the fairness of it all. That some people are more lucky than others and more fortunate than others. We're all in the right place, right? And that's because, right, God knew the soul would fail, but he gave it the means of enlightening itself through its own experience and through its own errors. In other words, no matter what I do today, right, no matter how egregious mistakes I might make, I have the ability, right, for this relative punishment. I'm going to reap what I sow. I'm going to face and have to deal with the consequences of anything that I did poorly in the past. And that's what I'm living today. I'm sowing, right? I'm reaping what I created in my actions in previous days and previous lives. And God made the moment of my liberation, of your liberation, depend on the efforts we take to attain it. The less likely or the more slowly I am to accept this and change and grow, the longer my suffering lasts. Make sense? All right, good. We're almost done. So we're instructed, this is from Pills of Trust, that little blue book I told you about, to equip ourselves with stakes of love and service for the good, right? And there's 3 components to this according to these couple of pages, right? First, we've got to, I have kids, and they're older now, right? They're teenagers now, but I can remember when they were little, they wanted to pray for a new bike, or they wanted to pray for a cookie, or they wanted to pray for a puppy, or pray for, $5, whatever it was, right? And we teach them and we learn, and now they're not so much like that. But what we should pray for, right? What we're encouraged to pray for is the courage to face the difficulties that we're going to endure, right? That's going to come our way tomorrow. So the way we develop these stakes, right, is try to be as courageous as possible. Pray for courage to face anything that comes our way. By forgiving, right? Forgiving people for their errors. Forgiving ourselves. How many of you beat yourselves up every day for a mistake you made in the past? You do? I'm not the only one? Okay, good. Guess what happens, right? Does the brain know the difference between the actual time you made the mistake or experienced the pain versus today when you think about it? It doesn't, right? There's MRI studies that show that the brain fires and lights up whether somebody's poking you with a knife or you're thinking about being poked with a knife, right? The brain, it's the same thing. So every time you think about those mistakes or the pain you experienced, you're reliving it. I help people hear better for a living. And when I'm explaining noise exposure to them, right, from rock concerts, from the equipment they used, from the guns they shot, I explain to them, like think about it this way, right? Because I said, what do you mean? I was hearing fine 10 years ago, 5 years ago, and now I can't hear, right? I just use this example. Well, think about this. What if you had a razor blade and you nicked yourself once, and you did that once a day, every day, day after day for years? Well, before you know it, you're not going to have an arm, right? Because that little cut just keeps getting bigger and bigger. And that's what we do when we don't forgive ourselves for our wrongs, when we don't give ourselves grace or show ourselves grace and move on from the pain, right? So part of this service to the good is not only forgiving others, but forgiving ourselves. And then having trust, okay? Trust in what? Trust in God. That God has provided everything we need to thrive. Not everything we want, right? Not everything we think we need, but everything that we need. We're never alone, right? We always can reach out for help from above, right? We are truly capable of tapping into our mentor, our guardian angel, seeking intuition, being guided, right? We have to trust that there's a better way. We have to trust that everything we need has been provided. So easy to say, right? But so hard to do. But these are the things. And ultimately, if we do these things, then we are going to live up or raise up to these higher objectives of life, right? And these higher objectives are not how much money I have in the bank, how successful my business is, or how smart my kids are, or how the things they achieve materially, right? But the superior objectives, the supreme objectives being my moral development, their moral development, helping my fellow man, living a Christ-like life, right? Is that the supreme objective, I think? All right, if I'm wrong, you tell me. But it's so easy to get caught up in the material needs and wants. So, again, from Pillars of Trust, it talks about when we truly examine ourselves and the life that we're living, right? It's real, I shouldn't say it's easy, but if we try hard enough, it does become clear that our reality, the life we're living today, is either drawn by us, right? By our actions, by the energy that we're attracting to us, or it's offered to us by divine love, right? One way or the other, right? Either or, right? We're creating or living the reality that we've created because of cause and effect, and or living the mission offered to us by divine love. We have the choice. So, reincarnation's purpose again, right? Is the expiation and progressive improvement of the spirit. It's the law, right? You're not going to stay stagnant. You may be really slow, right? But you're not going to stay in the same place forever. Reincarnation stops once the soul has stripped itself of all its impurities. That's a long time from now for me. I know that. But we each control our pace until we become a pure spirit. It's up to us. Just like, man, can you see that?
Yeah.
All right, awesome. I'm having trouble seeing. There he is. Just like Christ, right? It's hard to believe this, or it's hard for people to understand this when I'm talking to people that aren't of the same belief, I guess. But that graph I showed you, yeah? Ignorant, lacking knowledge, Christ started there, just like you and me, just like all of us. And he's the purest spirit to ever walk the earth. And his gospel, his good news, his life's example left for us the playbook, right? He showed us how to live. He talked the talk. He walked the walk. And we're now left with all kinds of resources. Look, right? Look at all these things we have at our disposal to make it not just a good new year or a good all year, but a good all life, right? Prayer, meditation, the Bible, tons of Spiritist publications. Now we got Spiritist podcasts, Spiritist YouTube videos. There's all kinds of great stuff out there to watch. We've got study groups here at the center. Gospel at home, if you're not doing one, we actually have a team that'll teach you how to do it. It's an awesome thing, once a week, same time, same day, to energize your home, to raise your energy at the house. We have weekly meetings at the center. We've got the Caravan of Love that feed the homeless and sing at nursing homes, right? And there's tons of other ways to donate your time or your service without the community. All of these things, right? Dedicating time to this as opposed to less elevated activities, shall we say? Right? Less like the example he showed us are out there. But if yes.
We also have the fraternal counseling.
Thank you. I got to add that to that slide next time. We do have a thing called fraternal, you don't call it counseling. What do you call it? Assistance, fraternal assistance. That's Wednesday nights here at the center. What time do you start? 7. So that's a group of workers here at the center that help you. They listen and then they help and then would you explain it a little bit more? What happens at that meeting?
They need you to come to see.
They need to come to see. Well, let's put it this way.
We try to help with mainly spiritual issues, but it's not only this. Sometimes people just need to talk. So.
Need to talk, right? You're not psychologists or professional counselors,
exactly.
But you listen and you help provide some guidance. I've gone to myself.
You're just doing what you just said.
Yeah.
If you can't provide some good words.
Exactly. I've gone through it, and I will say that it's very positive. It's just hard to explain it. Exactly. All right. So finally, we have all these resources. I'm going to add fraternal counseling to this for the next time I talk about this. What's the best thing we can do? What's our best resource if we forget anything else from tonight? What do you think? Pray, that's good. But let's take that. I already said that one. What's not up there? What's our biggest resource? Look to your left. Look to your right. Look behind you, right? Each other, right? I can't do this without you guys. You can't do it without me. You know, theoretically, right? I'm not talking about me personally, but you have your circle, right? The guy that does his best to make my life miserable, and I got a couple of them in my life, they're my best tool. They test me. They push me. I got a picture. This is crazy, but I manage people, right? Doctors, as I run this department, right? And there's a couple people in there that they make my life difficult, right? I went so far as to print. We have on our website, we have a picture of our team, right? So I printed pictures of my challenges, and guess where they are? In my closet where I get dressed in the morning, right? I got a picture of my headaches, right? Of my blessings, and every morning I see them, and I think positive thoughts, and I pray, and little by little, you know what? It's getting better, right? Because I'm not mad at them anymore. I love them. I'm so grateful for them pushing my buttons because it's helping me grow and evolve. So my point is, these guys all look like buddies and friends. And that's great. We all need buddies and friends and family. But it's the person that challenges you. It's the person that irritates you. It's the person that just wants you to not like them. That's your best friend, right? Because those are the people we need to forgive. Those are the people we need to be patient with. So I encourage all of you to not only love your neighbor, but to love your enemy. And thank you for your time and attention. And I really appreciate the opportunity to share this with you tonight. Thank you.